In a dusty Alabama County police station, a young black Navy SEAL, handcuffed and accused of grand theft auto, sat in silence. His uniform was creased but proud. His dignity intact but barely. No one believed him. Until a retired admiral walked through the courtroom doors and turned the entire system on its head. This is the story of Petty Officer Elijah Brooks, and it will leave you speechless. Elijah Brooks, 26, leaned on the hood of his rental car just outside Clearwater, Alabama. He wore his navy dress whites, neatly pressed for his best friend's wedding. Recently returned from a deployment in the South China Sea, Elijah was home to celebrate, not to fight. But then came the red and blue lights. "Step out of the vehicle! Hands where I can see them!" barked Officer Trent Hollis as his partner, Officer Mackey, unfastened the safety on his holster. Elijah obeyed calmly. "I'm Petty Officer Brooks, U.S. Navy. Heading to a wedding." "Sure you are," Hollis sneered, eyeing the insignia. "Whose car is this?" Elijah gestured to the rental papers in the glove box. "It's a rental. I picked it up at Birmingham International." Mackey snatched the paperwork and squinted. "Elijah Brooks? This vehicle was flagged in a theft report." "There must be a mistake," Elijah replied, firm but respectful. But before he could explain further, the cold steel cuffs locked around his wrists. "You're under arrest," Hollis said flatly. At the station, Elijah sat quietly in a holding cell. His dress whites now wrinkled, his pride wounded. The humiliation stung more than the cuffs. Officer Hollis paced nearby, grinning. "A Navy man, huh? Probably bought that uniform online." Elijah stayed silent. Years of military discipline taught him one thing above all: stay composed under fire. His phone had been confiscated, but he'd managed to get one call to his younger sister, Naomi Brooks, a third-year law student at Spelman College. "They arrested me, he whispered. "Clearwater PD. They think I stole the car." Naomi's voice shook with anger. "I'm calling Dad, right now." She hung up and dialed Admiral Charles Brooks, retired Navy legend, and Elijah's father, a man who had broken barriers to become one of the few black admirals in U.S. Navy history. When Naomi explained what had happened, Charles simply said, "Stay with your brother." "I'm coming." Within an hour, a private plane left D.C., carrying the Admiral and his longtime aide, Commander Lydia Moss. Charles had also contacted the rental agency, which quickly confirmed that the report was a clerical error. The car was indeed rented to Elijah Brooks, but the damage had already been done. In the morning, Elijah was led into a small courtroom, still handcuffed. The prosecutor painted a quick story of a suspicious man in a nice car with unverifiable documents. No mention of military service, no mention of integrity. The overworked public defender offered little resistance, only noting that Elijah had no criminal record. Judge Harmon, a stern, aging man, tapped his gavel and said, "We need confirmation of this alleged military background before I dismiss anything." And that's when the doors opened. A tall man in a Navy trench coat stepped in. Admiral Charles Brooks, ribbons gleaming on his chest, flanked by Commander Moss and two uniformed Navy officers. He walked to the front of the courtroom and saluted the judge. "Your Honor," he said, voice thunderous, "I am Admiral Charles Brooks, United States Navy, retired." "That man is my son," Petty Officer Elijah Brooks decorated, honorable and innocent. He handed over a thick folder Elijah's full service record, a statement from the rental company, and character references from commanders. Judge Harmon glanced at the documents, then looked at the officers seated in the back of the room. You arrested a Navy SEAL based on a mismatched vehicle report? He asked coldly. Officer Hollis stammered. Sir, the car was flagged. We acted on protocol. The Admiral turned toward him, eyes like steel. No, officer. You acted on assumption. You saw a black man in uniform and decided he was a threat. The courtroom froze. After a long pause, Judge Harmon spoke. All charges are dropped. Mr. Brooks, you are free to go. And to you, Admiral, thank you for your service, and your sons. As the cuffs were removed, Elijah saluted his father. Charles returned it, then hugged his son tight. You stayed calm. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Naomi rushed forward, hugging them both. Outside, reporters crowded the steps. Admiral Brooks stood between his children, cameras flashing. My son risked his life for this country, and yet in his own homeland, he was judged not by his service, but by his skin. That must change. Within days, the Clearwater PD issued a public apology and placed officers Hollis and Mackey on leave pending investigation. Mandatory bias training was introduced. Elijah returned to his base, his honor intact. Naomi, inspired by what happened, took on wrongful arrest cases for veterans. Admiral Brooks, from his position on a national advisory board, began pushing for legislation requiring law enforcement to verify military ID before detainment. Elijah Brooks' arrest was a mistake. His silence wasn't. His strength, dignity, and the support of his family turned humiliation into reform. And that's the power of truth, with a voice behind it. If this story moved you, hit the like button and subscribe for more true stories of courage, justice, and resilience. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? And have you ever seen someone's truth ignored until it was too late?